Hear your favorite NFL legends sharing their stories and insights every week, right here on Thursday Night Tailgate with Chris Mascaro and Bob Lazari. Take it away, guys.
The door is locked. There's no way out.
And now back in making his 8th appearance with us is our good friend Randy Fuller. Let me remind you about Randy's background. He's from Griffin, Georgia, which is just south of me here in Atlanta. He played his college ball at Tennessee State, where he was a 4-year letterman and an All-American defensive back. He was a 4th-round draft pick by the Denver Broncos in 1994, played 6 seasons in the NFL for Denver, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, and Seattle. He was a part of the Steelers' 1995 AFC Championship team and a part of the Falcons' 1998 NFC Championship team. Steelers Nation is going to, forever love Randy for breaking up that Hail Mary pass from Jim Harbaugh in the end zone in the 1995 AFC Championship game that got them into the Super Bowl. He's a great friend of the show, and we're happy he's back with us again tonight here on Thursday Night Tailgate. Hey, Randy, Chris, and Bob, how have you been, my friend?
Hey, Randy.
Hey, guys. I've been wonderful. It's great to hear you guys' voice again. After last night's Astros victory, with me living here in Houston now, this town is really pumped, so I'm having a fantastic week.
Yeah, to that point, Randy, how is the city today? What's going on?
Oh, man, just on fire, man. Everybody's out grabbing merchandise, preparing for our big parade tomorrow, so the city is doing really good right now.
And speaking about the city doing really well, right? You being there in Houston, and in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, are things starting to get back to normal for everybody there?
There's still a lot of things to be done. A lot of people are still displaced, and you have to go look for it, but there's still a lot of help that's needed. You don't see it, just riding by, but if you get off certain roads and go to certain neighborhoods, they're still empty neighborhoods. So, a lot of people won't get back into their home for some time. So, just because you're not hearing it on the news doesn't mean there's still, not a need.
Right.
So, definitely continuing to keep the city in prayer is still needed.
And Randy, is the excitement over the Astros, win last night, was it tempered at all today following the news that Deshaun Watson tore his ACL and he's going to be out for the rest of the season?
Yeah, pretty much everybody went, to a great high to a great low for the true Houston fan. But, you have to keep it in perspective and know that that's part of the game and next man up, and hopefully that person can continue to carry the torch to keep this team going in the right direction. So, but it is definitely tough for the city to lose Deshaun.
Bob, questions for Randy?
Always love talking to you, Randy, and I want to get your idea as a fan watching football now. Every day, every game I watch, Randy, whenever you see the ball go downfield a little bit, you're almost expecting a flag to be thrown, and it gets tough watching as a fan. Yeah. Just wondering, as a former defensive back, do you have that same kind of feeling? Can you understand it? How are they calling the? And just give me your take on watching the game and all these flags. It's almost like a 50-50 shot if a flag's going to be thrown on a pass more than 20 yards.
Yeah, the flow of the game is definitely thrown off more than anything, is what you hate seeing. The league is built on, wanting to have a lot of success offensively, but the defensive backs have caught up talent-wise. The scheme that they're running has allowed them to be in better position, and therefore keeping a lot of games close for the most part. And, it's tough as a fan when from a defensive back standpoint, it's definitely tough when, I'm sitting there saying, I wouldn't be able to play this day and age because I would have been penalized every single play because I was such an aggressive player. So this day and age would not have been good for me. So I played during my time, which they did allow me to be physical. So you really just have to go with the flow of where the league is, and it is what it is. So you just have to pull for your guy.
And Randy, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but here's another thing that's very apparent to me, and you having played for a defensive coordinator like LeBeau and a defensive-minded coach like Cowher, this has to drive you crazy. And this is at the pro level. I see it all the time. Guys, they don't wrap up anymore, Randy. It's almost like a contact tackles, I call them. They just go in with their head and shoulders and try to just knock guys off their feet. I mean, this must be something. Are they teaching this at the college level, Randy? Because it's getting it gets kind of crazy when you put into slow motion on replays.
Well, with me being a former collegiate coach for 5 years now, I definitely taught tackling. I definitely taught wrapping up. Keeping your head up, doing it the safe way, and so it pains me when I see missed tackles because I was considered one of the better tacklers on most of the teams that I played on. So from a coach standpoint and from a former player who enjoyed the physical aspect of the game, yeah, it pains me to see missed tackles or guys not wanting to tackle. But, I mean, again, every individual is different, so you don't want to see that a whole team of guys not wanting to tackle. So the one thing about the league is they rally to the ball. So in college, if a guy misses a tackle, that guy can go 60, 80, and it's a touchdown. In the pros, if a guy misses a tackle, before he can take another step, there's 3, 4 guys right there for the tackle. So that's the difference. So you can have 1 or 2 guys that don't like to tackle, but for the most part, there's never a whole team that doesn't want to tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And Randy, speaking of not wanting to tackle, we see it on the Steelers as well. It just seems, you talk about frustrating as a fan watching, guys like Mike Mitchell who just want to lay a shoulder into you instead of wrapping up, that sort of thing. When you look at the Steelers or whoever it is, right, and you're watching the way these guys, the technique. I mean, my father says all the time, tackling is a lost art. Right? Are you surprised by it? Is it just the thought that those guys just want to make a splash play, and it's not going to make anybody's highlight on SportsCenter if you just wrap them up around the legs and tackle them. But boy, if I could lay the wood to them with a shoulder, that might get on a highlight. Or what is it? What's the mindset? Do you think from these guys to try instead of just good technique, I'm going to wrap these guys up, I'm going to tackle them, I'm going to just try to put a shoulder into them and try to knock them down?
Oh, man. Gosh, if only we could do a survey of all of them to find out the true Hollywood story to why they don't like doing that. But, but I mean, I just think the splash plays are huge. I mean, they have, that ESPN trying to make the top 10 without getting penalized is something that they probably do think about in the back of their mind. I'm not saying that I don't think it's being taught that way. I don't think the coaches are delivering it to the players that way. But it's hard to not want to make a big play. So I think a lot of times it just depends on the situation and what role the guy takes. So you've seen guys pull up when it could have been just ugly, and then you also seen guys not pull up and they got penalized and got kicked out of games as well. So, I don't know. We just need to do the survey. That's all I can tell you.
Hey, Randy, I don't know if you got, if you watched the game against the Lions last week, the Steelers and the Lions last week, boy, it was sort of a bend but don't break Steelers defense, something we've seen in the past. This year I think we were seeing them play so much better until last week, and Stafford throws for 423 yards and all that sort of stuff. They really clamped down inside the 5 a couple of times. Right. But I want to get your thoughts. What were you seeing from the Steelers defense last week?
Oh, well, again, they did the most important thing, which was keep them out of the end zone. That's what I saw more than anything, because when you're playing a prolific quarterback that does have targets and can move the ball up and down the field, I mean, it is what exactly you said. It's a bend but don't break. So in the zone concept that the Steelers have played over the years, teams are allowed to move the ball on us, but they're not allowed to get big plays over the top of us, and then we definitely shut them down in the red zone. So I actually was excited that it was kind of taking me back to the old days when I saw the goal line defense. Man, I mean, it was a rally to the ball and keep my end zone. It was fun to see that brand of Steeler football again. So I don't look at the 400 yards as much as I look at the W. So I definitely was proud of the way the Steelers defense played last week.
And, Randy, something that's been a little unusual about the Steelers this season is we've seen a lot of drama, right, that we don't typically see from a Steelers team. You know, Antonio Brown with the knocking the Gatorade jug down, right, you know, because Ben didn't see him open on a play. Le'Veon Bell rapping about how he's going to need $17 million to sign. Martavis, you know, Bryant demanding a trade. Ben with his struggles this year. Maybe, you know, I don't have it anymore. Do you think, is this just a sign of the times? Or has something changed? You know, I'm hoping Mike Tomlin is pulling these guys aside, saying, you know what, hey fellas, you know, hey, Antonio, that's not how we do things, blah blah blah. But it seems like there's been more of a sort of a me attitude versus a team attitude, and that, you know, teams that are all about me don't go very far. Can Tomlin rally these guys and get them back to focusing on really what the task at hand is, and that's winning games as a team, not stats?
Well, you know, when you look at the record overall, you got to say what drama, because to be at 6-2 at the halfway point, that's winning in the way we used to look at it. We always wanted to win 3 out of the first 4 games, and then obviously win the next 3 out of the 4. So we're at 6-2 where we are. We're exactly where our goal is. To me, man, I love it. I love the fact that, you know, this is a sign that we could possibly have a great Steeler team, because in the past, whenever there has been some drama, the team has gone on to perform well. You know, obviously with the trade deadline passing and we still have our core guys in place, then, you know, if Tomlin is able to rally the troops, this is good for us because we have so much talent. So I don't think, I mean, everybody, I'm sure, has a legitimate argument about their wants and desires, because you got to understand, now, when I went to college, I was a wide receiver. And guess what? I wanted the ball every single play. And eventually I got moved to defense because I wasn't getting the ball. So I was a diva in a sense when it came to receiver. But you believe that you are that guy and that you can make that play. So you see most of your complaints really coming from the wide out position, no other position. So therefore, it kind of comes with the territory. So it's not time to hit the panic button. I just think we continue to support this team, and as bad in some cases as they have played offensively, they are still scoring enough points to the point where the defense is doing their job, which is to ensure that the team doesn't lose the game.
Randy, before we let you go, let our listeners know, how can they stay up to date with all the things that you're up to, whether it's online or it's on social media?
Yeah, you know me, I still keep a low profile for the most part, but you can always find me on Facebook. I do have a Twitter, not that I use it often, and I do have an Instagram. So if you search, you probably can find me. So I'm doing a lot of charity work, especially with my job with Timberline Knolls. It's a residential treatment facility that helps women and adolescent girls recover from substance abuse, trauma, eating disorders, and co-occurring issues. So that's a lot of fun. So this winter, I'm going to be doing some coat drives along with a lot of the clinicians in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and the Austin area and Houston as well. So please look for me, and anytime you can help, then please don't hesitate.
Well, Randy, thank you for your time this evening. Always a great time for Bob and I to get to spend some time with you. We hope you'll come back and do it again soon, because you're one of our all-time favorites, my friend.
Well, I greatly appreciate you guys. You know I love being on the show, so thanks for having me, and definitely keep up the great work that you guys are doing. I really appreciate it.
You too,
thank you, Randy. All the best to you and your family.
Care.
We look forward to catching up soon, buddy.
Okay, same here.
Good
Take
night.
care.
See you, Randy. That is former Steelers and Falcons defensive back Randy Fuller. Always a lot of fun with Randy, and you know he was a part of some of the great Steeler defenses, Bob, in the '90s. Unfortunately, those guys didn't get over the hump and win a Super Bowl, but as a group, They were tough. We've had Kirkland and Greg Lloyd here on the show in the last couple of weeks, and Randy was right there with them.
Yeah, he's been a great friend of the show, Chris, and he's been very, very generous with his time, and he gave us a spotlight on the positive there, what he's doing these days. We got an early bird special for our spotlight tonight, but he's been like that for a long time, so check him out, help him out. Great guy.
Yes. All right, coming up here in hour number 2, we're going to be joined by Russell Baxter and Cindy Fiesel. And before Russell joins us, I want to give a shout-out to our friends over at the Gridiron Greats organization. Folks, please help support a wonderful cause that's taking care of the guys who left so much of themselves out on the field. Remember, these are the guys who played back when they still had to get off-season jobs to support themselves and their families. It's organizations like this one that was started by Mike Dicka, the Gridiron Greats, who are there trying to help the guys that we all grew up, watching and reading about. Please go online to gridirongreats.org to see what you can do to get involved.